For today's video, I'm going to be ranking my eyeshadow palettes. I have been seeing so many people ranking their blushes, highlighters, palettes, everything like that. So I wanted to rank my palette, so that's what we're going to be doing today. If you're new, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure to give this a thumbs up and let me know what your favorite palette or least favorite palette is that you have or you owned. So without further ado, let's get into this. Now, these are all of my palettes. These are all of my eyeshadows. I don't like to have a huge collection because I like to use up what I have. We're gonna go from my least favorite to my most favorite because I think it's just better to work up to a better note. So the first one here is going to be the Morphe 25B palette. I just feel like every single time I open it up and I look at it, there's just so many tones that are the same. It's almost like even when you swatch them, there's so many tones that are the same and it almost seems like it's all the same color. And when I look at it, it's just a very, very neutral palette. That being said, to get started into makeup, I really did enjoy this because you could find so many colors, you could create so many looks, and it'd be very, very neutral, easy, and safe. You also have a lot of mattes in here. It's just a ton of mattes. You have the odd like shimmer, but the majority is matte. This palette for me is really, really basic, very, very simple, and this is something that I would use for more of like a very basic makeup day, safe makeup day, or just wanting something matte. So that is why it's at the bottom for me. The other thing too is I just find the packaging scratches and doesn't look as nice, and not just that, there's no mirror and it's just, you know, it's just not one of my favorite palettes. So the next palette that I'm just not really a fan of is the Tarte Clay Play Volume 2 palette. This was the very first palette that I actually ever purchased from Sephora, or that was high-end. I would purchase some from like Walmart, like Wet n Wild, but this was like my first like palette, and I feel like that is why I'm hanging on to it. I honestly never use it. I find the shimmer shades in here, you have to make sure your brush is wet. They have a lot of fallout. They don't perform as nice. I have a very hard time with the shade Smoke. The highlight in here is stunning. It looks nice, but it just goes everywhere. It's like little pieces of glitter, and it's just not like a nice smooth highlight for me anyway. And the bronzer in here, like terracotta, is way too dark for my skin tone, so it doesn't work for me as a bronzer. And the blush for me is okay, but I honestly don't go in this palette because every single time that I look at it, I go, no thank you, give me another palette. Like when I bought this, I used it a lot. There's so many shades in here that got so much use out of it, but I just don't reach for it, and I just never want to reach for it. But it's not one that I would recommend because I just honestly don't feel like it's a very good palette. The matte shades in here I do really, really like, so I would recommend this only for the mattes, but I would just say go for a different Tarte palette because this one just wasn't it, and I honestly never see anybody else talk about this one. I see people talk about the original one, but not this one. So this one for me is just a pass. I still have it, but I think I should get rid of it because I never use it. The next one's going to be the Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star Mini Controversy one. I bought this. I really, really wanted it. I was so hyped up for it. I needed it. I wanted it. And I honestly have only used it a handful of times. When I look at this one, for me, I just feel like, what am I supposed to do with it? Don't get me wrong. I really like the colors in here. I love the formula. They're pigmented. They're nice. I just look at this and I go, what am I supposed to do with it? It's not really enough for me to like be comfortable using to travel, and I also feel like I just never really reach for it because there's just not, I don't know if it's because of these two blues here. Now, one thing I do want to say is I do like the packaging of it, I like the pan size of it, and I do really like the mirror in it. Now, this is the only thing that I have from like Jeffree Star, so I don't really know if this is like how all the formulas are, but this formula is really nice. The colors are really pigmented. I do enjoy it. I just have a hard time when I open it and look at it creating something. This one's a little bit lower ranked than I wanted it to be. The reason why is because they changed the formula and they didn't really tell anybody. So that's why I ranked it lower, because if I recommend it, if I use it in a video, this formula is not going to be what you buy now. So it's kind of difficult for me in my opinion. The other thing is it just doesn't have a mirror. Other than that though, the colors in here are stunning. The original formula is very, very nice. I have used this so many times. This for me is a grab and go. I feel like I can bring this with me to travel even though it is bigger, but I have everything that I need. And I feel like I have colors in here, and this is my colorful palette. Like this is like probably the most color that I'll get. I do want to get another colorful one, but this is kind of it for now. If you have the opportunity to get the original formula one, I would recommend it. I don't know how the new formula is, but the colors in here are nice. I like how the variety is. I haven't gone for the second one only because I feel like that one's a little bit too pink and vibrant for me, but this one was really, really nice. So the Jaclyn Hill palette by Morphe is kind of like in the middle for me. Morphe for me is kind of a hit or miss, and I feel like that's what I get out of the reviews. The products are a hit or a miss, so really I don't purchase from Morphe because it just feels like a hit or miss. So these here are all individual eyeshadows from Mary Kay that I put all in this little palette. I'm including these single shadows in here because I really, really do like them, and I actually reach for this little palette a lot. Although it's not like the most cohesive, although it's not like colors that I may use all the time like this blue and this color here, I really, really love the formula. I really, really love the pigmentation, and I just love how I can create many, many looks. My favorite colors are like the whole top row and this color here. Very, very nice, and the black is nice also. Mary Kay has really, really nice shadows, and I really like them. And it's so easy just to put your favorite single shadows in here, and you have a nice mirror for when you want to travel, and you're just all set to go. You could even pack yourself like a couple nice shadows and then put yourself like a bronzer, blush, or highlighter on the other side and be good to go. And that's what I really like about the single shadows and these little palettes, because you can pack what you want if you're going to travel and go, or if you're just someone who likes the same thing every day, you can pack your everyday look in here and then just open it every day, use it, and you're good to go. So I really, really do like these. They have very good quality eyeshadows, and the palettes are really, really good quality. The mirror is nice, and it just needed to be like in the top because I really do reach for these a lot. I haven't used this as much as I wanted to. I'm obsessed with the color purple. Every single time that I see YouTubers with purple eyeshadow, I really want purple eyeshadow. So I ended up buying a bundle from Colourpop that came with the It's My Pleasure palette. I have only used this a handful of times. I do really like it. I love the purple coloring in here. I love how there's a couple mattes. I love how you have some shimmers. I really like it. You can get purpley colors, pink colors. You're good to mix and match these with other palettes. If you want just a hint of purple one day or a hint of pink, you can just use this palette. I really, really like it. I find using a wet brush to apply the shimmer shades a lot better, and you have a lot less fallout. So if you get a palette from Colourpop and you're wondering how come you have a lot of fallout, wet your brush before you apply the shimmery shades because it's going to apply a lot better that way. That's what I've noticed. I can't wait to get into this more. I feel like now with summer coming, I probably will, and I'm just really excited to, but from the times that I have used it, I've really, really enjoyed it. Okay, so we've got 3 left. These are my top 3. This one here is the Too Faced Hot Buttered Rum Little Mini Palette. When I was at Sephora, I wanted to buy myself a new palette, but I didn't want to spend like $60+ on a palette. So when I seen this little mini one, I wanted to pick it up. It smells amazing. It smells so, so good, and I think that's what really drew me to it. The other thing is when I open this up, these are like literally all my colors. I've got a pop of yellow if I want some yellow, which I rarely wear, but it's nice to have like a little pop of color, and the rest is all like nice and neutral. I've got some nice mattes in here, but I've also got some nice shimmer shades in here. So I'm not sure if this is like limited edition or comes out just around the holidays, and I'm not sure if you may be able to find it at like TJ Maxx, Winners, or like discounted somewhere maybe, I'm not sure. But if you're able to get this, I would highly recommend it, especially if you like your neutrals, and especially if you like a mix of like shimmer and mattes, because this is really, really nice. Also, this is so nice to travel with, again, because you just have literally everything that you need in one palette, which is what I really like. My second favorite one is going to be the Going Coconuts by Colourpop. Ever since I got this one, I've used it so much, and I honestly didn't think I was going to use this one as much as I do, and I thought I was going to use the It's My Pleasure one over this one, but this one I needed this one. This one I feel is like a staple palette, and I feel like if you don't have very many neutrals, or if you don't have a staple palette, this is a nice one to grab as a staple palette because of the colors and just the amount of looks that you can get with it. So nice on the eyes also. When I open this palette up, I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what I can create. Let's say I was gonna do my makeup in the morning. I can open up this palette and know what I want to create. When I open up this palette, I have a very, very hard time. That could just be me personally, but I would prefer something like this and then add a hint of color, then open something up like this and have a hard time creating something. So I really do enjoy this a lot. Very happy to have it. Colourpop is actually really, really affordable. I would rather grab like a little eyeshadow palette from Colourpop than go to the drugstore because I feel like the pricing is almost the same. And I feel like this for me is just more reliable and a lot better than some of the other shadows that I could get at the drugstore. So this for me is a staple, and I'd highly recommend it if you're looking for a good small little eyeshadow palette. Yeah, you probably guessed it if you watched my channel before. This here is the Tati Beauty Volume 1 palette. Once I converted everything, the shipping, I added the tax in, it was about $85 Canadian. Most expensive palette that I bought. Worth it. Worth every single penny. This for me has been so well loved. If you can see the packaging, I have used it so much. It's also what I'm wearing today. I love it. I love how you can bend it. I love the huge mirror on the back. The mirror is so helpful. I really like it. And it's just a really nice color story in my opinion. Now for neutral wise, I feel like this has a little bit more color than your standard neutral palette. Just as an example, this to me is more neutral than the Tati Beauty one. However, I feel like this is such a good everyday palette. You have mattes, you have metallics, you have sequin, you have glitter, you have everything that you need in one palette, which I really, really like. If you look at this palette and you really want it, or you haven't purchased it yet and you want to purchase it but you're not sure, I would highly recommend it because I feel like this is a palette I get the most use out of, and I feel like this for me I won't get bored of anytime soon, especially because I can use many of these shades here as a transition shade and then use another palette as a pop of color if I wanted to. These eyeshadows are so pigmented. These are the most pigmented eyeshadows I have. When I take a little dot of an eyeshadow, I get it, and I need to make sure to blend it out. The only one that I have a hard time with is Ritual in Matte. That is the one that I have a hard time with. I'm not sure why. The black is so nice, and I really like how it goes to almost this like blue tone. And I just love the orange tone, the light brown. I just love the different tones in here. So although it's not like a neutral palette per se, it's definitely a really nice everyday palette in my opinion, because you can create so many looks with it. Fingerprints on here, the like wear of it on here, it doesn't bother me because this is a very well loved palette. I like how it is sleek. It's not like, it's a heavy palette, but it's not like overly heavy. It's not like chunky. And I just really like how you have a big mirror. So I feel like if this was plastic, it just wouldn't feel the same and it just wouldn't look the same. So this is honestly my most used and loved palette. So I can't wait to see what else she comes out with. My most used, the Tati Beauty. My least used is the Morphe 25B. So let me know in the comments down below what your favorite palette is or what your least favorite palette is. Or let me know in the comments down below if you have any of these palettes. Make sure to subscribe if you have not. Ring the bell to be notified when I upload next. Give this video a thumbs up and you can go follow me on my social media. I will see you all in my next one.